Broadcasting live from the Business RadioX studios in Woodstock, Georgia. This is Fearless Formula with Sharon Klein. Welcome to Fearless Formula on Business RadioX, where we talk about the ups and downs of the business world and offer words of wisdom for business success on a normal day. That's what we do. But today is not a normal day. Today is a Tuesday where I get to talk about, well, the founder of everything regarding Business RadioX, one of the founders here in Atlanta, but specifically Stone's studio here in Woodstock, Georgia. This is Stone Payton. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you. Maybe we should rename it and call it Stone Studio instead of Cherokee Business Radio.
Stone
it's kind of
Studio.
like a little ring to it,
Yeah,
doesn't
it does. Look at me. I won't charge you much for that. I'm so glad to talk to you today because we haven't really sat down and discussed, the progress of Business RadioX and all of the different initiatives that you have right now, as well as the fact that, I don't even get any personal chit-chatty time with you like I used to because we're both so busy.
Well, especially you, right? It's hunting season for me, so that's part of why I'm busy. But you're all over the place. You're doing voiceover work. You're doing radio work. You're doing TV work.
Yeah.
Commercials, all that stuff. You got a lot going on, lady.
Yeah, it's all kind of happened at once really quickly. Like doing this Fatal Attraction show. I'm so excited to do that on Thursday and Friday. And then I've got a couple different TV shows that are coming out from things that I filmed last year. They come out in February. So it'll seem like a lot at once, but it's all been in the making over time, except for Fatal Attraction. That was a big surprise. I get to be a detective. I'm so excited. I have lines. It's the most amazing ever. So I'm so glad to share that with you too, because I always think of you as the person that was so supportive of me getting into radio with you like almost 3 years ago.
So remember that when you start getting the royalty checks, okay?
Oh, is that right? I don't know if I'm the little people. I don't know if I'll remember that. You know what? No, I will never forget how kind you were to me when I was just like, do you need someone to say a voiceover for you, please? Anything? You were so sweet to me.
No, it's been a great ride. We'd have a lot of fun together and back at you because a lot of the cool things we have going on here right now were born out of your creativity, your initiative, and your willingness to help me try to get some things off the ground. So it's been a very, at least fair energy exchange, and I have a feeling that the balance of the scales is much more in your favor than mine.
No. Well, it's been my pleasure, and everything that you're doing is to not just help the community, but you really do take some personal one-on-one interest in people and helping them to grow as well, which is what's so great about Business RadioX, because it does help to give people opportunities to navigate different industries and network, and everybody wins in that environment. Not only do you get to know new people, but you could also help to grow your own business, and it just grows and grows and grows. So not only do you do things for the community, but you do things individually, and I appreciate that about you.
Well, thank you. And what you're describing, that's certainly consistent with my experience, both for me and the people that we bring into the Business RadioX family. One of the things that I thoroughly enjoy about being part of this thing of ours at this point in my career is it's real easy to be the nice guy, the guy that knows the guy, and it's real easy to serve someone who is never going to write you a check. But with all of that in place, it makes perfect sense for very specific types of people in certain situations that meet some very distinct criteria. It makes all the sense in the world for them to at least have a conversation with us about writing us a check, because we can provide a nice return on that check. But I can also help a lot of people, nonprofits, very small businesses, startups. So it's a neat place to be in terms of timing in the career and to have this platform, this thing at my disposal, right?
Exactly. People are always impressed when they come in to see this little studio here. It's like such a surprise, but it has always provided such a nice, intimate setting to get to know someone's story in a way that I don't get to have outside of this room. So I consider it an honor to be part of it. So thank you.
Oh, well, that's nice. Thank you for saying that.
Sure. No problem. Well, let's talk a little bit about some of the things that Business RadioX is doing right now. We've talked about Main Street Warriors a couple times in the past, you and I on air. But what is new with Main Street Warriors that we've been working on together?
Well, I think it's a perfect example of a tenet that I've tried to live by. A mentor shared with me years and years ago. If you're kind of getting mired down and you're stuck in what you're doing and you've got a problem or a set of problems and you're just really struggling with it, take a day, take a couple of days, go work on somebody else's problem. Right. And so I was getting mired down in one challenge in that when I opened this studio, we've got a very well kind of baked strategy, methodology, process for helping professional services clients who are kind of high end solve their prospecting problem. You know, a lot of people, CPAs, lawyers, coaches, consultants, they may be exceedingly gifted at their craft, but a lot of them have a challenge in prospecting. So at the risk of sounding a little bit immodest, this thing of ours, we can fix that problem and we can really help them grow their business. And the fee structure is commensurate with that, right? So and you can make a very lucrative living running a Business RadioX studio. So there's this whole tier of people that we serve, and that's the way it ought to be. But lo and behold, I moved to Woodstock, Georgia, and very quickly I get to know a lot of people around town. I know every bartender in town, of course, but I know a lot of small business people that, you know, they're not trying to take over the world or anything. They just have a neat little lifestyle business. I don't care how good my thing works. My fee structure is out of reach, right? And so I'm scratching my head. What's been almost 3 years now, 2 years plus, I guess. I'm scratching my head. How do I help these people, right? What I do at that fee structure makes no sense to them, but I really do want to help them. And so what I did with a great deal of help from you to bring it into reality, and just help from everybody around the community, Lee Meyer and with the highlight reel, just a whole bunch of people came together to support this. But we created this community partner program with your help. We called it Main Street Warriors. The very first time I tried to even articulate what we were doing and why, David Samahal, he says, well, what would it cost for me? I want to be the title sponsor. And I'm like, I don't know. And he goes, well, how about this number? Threw his credit card on this. I'm like, okay. So like without Diesel David, it never would have happened. Without you, it never would have happened. All these people came together. But what we created was a way for all the smaller businesses, all these friends of mine that I see every week at Young Professionals of Woodstock or Woodstock Business Club.
Networking meetings.
There's a way for them to play, a way for them to engage and do a couple things. One, they can tap into some of the benefits of being a part of this thing where we amplify the voice of business and we give everybody an opportunity to share their story and promote their work. But another challenge that businesses at that level have, at that revenue level, they don't have the resources to contribute to local causes the way they would like to. You know, they can write the $10 check, they can go to the $25 dinner, but they can't be writing $1,000, $5,000 checks to this association and this nonprofit. But as part of the Main Street Warriors program, the whole idea behind that is we'll take that membership revenue, which is, very modest, right? It's like a tenth of what it would cost if you were like a traditional client. And my initial commitment was we'd take 20% of that money, just between me and you and the house cat, and now your millions of listeners, I'm sure.
Millions.
We're actually giving about 120% at the moment. But we're taking that money and we're turning around and reinvesting it in the local nonprofits, the causes, all of them that we all support around here. You've heard of all of them,
of course.
And so, but now that small business person gets an opportunity to kind of come along for the ride on the traditional promotional marketing aspect of things. Maybe they're a sponsor of a specific episode. Maybe we do a live read for them. Maybe we make it very clear that they are the sponsor of this series. Stuff that doesn't cost me a lot of money.
Right.
Gives them some exposure. Because they are a sponsor, they have kind of the inside track in inviting other people on Cherokee Business Radio, and they get to be a part of what we do for Wildlife Action, Kisbit Expo, Limitless Disabilities, Food Pantry, Next Step Ministries, Circle of Friends. All of these, it's not Stone, it's the Main Street Warriors
that get to contribute.
You shouldn't have got me started on Main Street Warriors. I love it.
I love that you have a golf cart that you ride around in downtown Woodstock.
I do.
And you can put, the logos and the names of the businesses that are part of the Main Street Warrior program. So they get free advertising kind of in that way.
Well, so like Renee Deerdorf, she runs Up Level Design Studio. She made these magnetic signs. I need to put in another order with her. And she made these foam course signs that you see here in the studio.
Yeah.
And I thought it was a really a marvelous idea. And she helped me think that through. Is we've got the steel, that's magnetic, and so you can just interchange the signs, right?
So
we're going to do the
smart.
same thing on the SS Freedom, another project I'll tell you about, where we can do some interchangeable signs. But the golf cart's fun.
I do have to say, when you consider the level of income and the ability to financially contribute in a significant way to any kind of nonprofit, it does feel like, well, I need to be a millionaire or, a six-figure income kind of company. And it's nice to know that you don't have to have that high level in order to be able to make an impact on causes that you believe in.
Absolutely. And this is just one vehicle for that. What I have come to believe sincerely, though, what these different constituencies need and want, they don't need the grand gesture. If you got $100,000, write a check for $100,000. But, show up and help them paint the side of the building, bring some lunch by, go pat somebody on the back. It doesn't have to be a grand gesture, but this particular program does help us kind of aggregate resources and have a big impact on any one thing. Can I talk about the boat project?
Let's talk about the boat.
So
I saw you posted about it on Facebook.
I did today, and I'm not a big Facebook poster, but I mean, must have been 30 people, liked it and commented and all that stuff. Which 30 in my world, guys, is a big deal. I'm not a social media guy, really. So what we did, we went out and bought the most stripped down pontoon boat we could find. It's actually a tritoon, has 3 of those little thingies under it, with the idea that we're gonna build out this boat so that we can get wheelchairs on and off easily. And that's not the only constituency that we plan to serve. Is not just people in a wheelchair, but I learned through my work with Wildlife Action and doing the disabled hunts and the youth hunts. Man, some of these folks, it's really difficult for them to get out and enjoy the outdoors. I take it for granted, right? Like if like tomorrow morning, it's the last few days of deer hunting season. I'm gonna go hunt in the morning, and I just take that for granted. But people who are confined to a wheelchair or just even maybe less mobile, but particularly disabled vets, it's tough for them to get out. So in conjunction with Wildlife Action and Main Street Warriors and Design and Remodel Brothers, LGE. I mean, there's a lot of people that have rallied around this. What we're doing is building out a boat that is not just accessible so that people can get on the thing, but it's wheelchair friendly and friendly to folks who are less mobile. And I can't tell you how rewarding it is that we just sort of had the very beginnings of the idea. I mentioned it to you. I mentioned it to Jim and John, the Design and Remodel Brothers. I mentioned it to Aunt Sandy, who we all at Young Professionals of Woodstock know who that is, but she's my sister-in-law, but I call her Aunt Sandy. Aunt Sandy was the first one to stroke a check. Boom, the minute I told her about it. And then the minute I told Jim about it, he's so darn well-wired. People write checks on behalf of causes for Jim just because he's Jim. He talked to Wesley, and now LGE wrote a check, and so now it's this big deal. We have a website out. By the time this is published, there's probably going to be some kind of website. But I am so looking forward to just getting people out and think about the folks like Nick Carberry out there with Next Step Ministries. Some of those folks are like not mobile at all unless someone's pushing them in a wheelchair, and they really need and want stuff to go out and do. So it's not just there's the boat and there's that project and that accessibility, but there's also, because our mission at Wildlife Action is to provide those experiences, there's also 27 acres. So just imagine, Nick's crowd or Paige Reed over at Limitless Disability or a disabled veterans group or any group coming out, and it's like a whole experience. You're cooking the s'mores and the hot dogs at the campsite. Maybe you stayed over last night, and then you're hopping on the boat and going for a cruise, or maybe if you were going for a fishing trip. I am so excited about this. I can't see straight, Sharon.
I wish people really knew more how satisfying and rewarding and touching it is to see someone experience, I don't know, have access to an experience they never had before, and to know that you had a small part in making someone feel that kind of joy. Oh my, there's nothing like it. You can't pay to have that feeling.
Really can't.
You have to do it.
And I'm so blessed that I've experienced it at like 3 different levels. I've experienced at the level of just at the idea stage, people just corralling around me to get it off the ground. And then I've experienced at the where everybody just is. I mean, I'm getting calls and emails. What can I do to help? I'm a fabricator. I'm a welder. You know, do you need some help getting the motor running? You know, all these people are coming. So it's incredibly rewarding to see people around you helping. And then to your point, as we're talking to people, well, I got to tell you, the initial inspiration for all of this was partially my experience with the disabled hunt. Right? I mean, you take a guy, double amputee in a wheelchair, and then you look at that guy with grinning ear to ear when he's holding the 8-point deer that he's harvested, right? So it's partially inspired by that experience doing the disabled hunt for the last couple of years. And then, but also my buddy Kyle Snowpack over at Young Professionals at Worcester. That's right. He wanted to go fishing. Candidly, it's been difficult to work out the logistics and the access. And so that's just, it's incredibly rewarding, even at this stage where they just know it's coming. But can you imagine how it's going to feel in April, May, you know, we get into the warmer weather and we're actually out doing it? Oh my God.
There's so many dark things that happen in this world. Any opportunity to show that there are people that really do think beyond themselves, that really do give selflessly, that really do want to see other people genuinely happy with nothing back to themselves, just to experience that moment. There aren't enough opportunities for that in my book. Honestly, I really believe that.
Well, we got to keep creating them. But I'll share something else that's come of my experience from this. You talk about like expecting nothing back. You can't help it. It does come back. I've written quite a bit of business in the last 6 weeks that you could kind of tie it back to some of this serve early, serve first, serve often methodology, ethos, value system of Business RadioX in general. People really appreciate that you're out there helping other people. So, I mean, you've heard me say this before, but I find the more people you help, the more money you make, and the more money you make, the more people you help. And then once you get that flywheel going, you can stop it if you wanted to. So yeah, you can go into it like that, no expectation of immediate recompense, and you're going to get emotional compensation. You know, just in off spades. The chart, but it's probably going to help your business.
Well, it looks like what you're really doing is encouraging people to think like you do. It is the serving aspect of it. It is not just let me grow my business and let me financially, benefit. It's more about, it's all of it. Everyone wins in that scenario. And that to me is the best. It's the win-win. Yeah. The win-win.
The only win that I haven't achieved yet, and it's not going to happen because she's on a whole nother trajectory, is I really wanted Sharon to take over this studio. I just wanted access to it. But she's like, on a whole nother trajectory.
No, let's talk about taking over the studio at the end of this.
Because I'm looking for a co-host / studio person to handle it day to day because we're busy expanding the network.
Truth.
I'm getting more and more involved in the nonprofit cause side of life. And so that really, I know you didn't mean this to be a recruiting ad, but I am kind of looking for a co-host of Cherokee Business Radio and someone to run kind of the day-to-day of this particular studio.
So when you talk about expanding the network, what do you mean? What's going on?
So right now we are in maybe 61, 62 markets in some way. We have 19 of these rooms like this.
Around the country.
Right. And I'm one of the 19. Right.
Nice.
So me and my business partner, Lee Cantor, we own the Business RadioX network. And so that's my day job, right? And then I also run Cherokee Business Radio. But on the expansion, we want to go from 19 to 1,000. We feel like what's happening here in Woodstock, what John Ray's doing such a fabulous job with in North Fulton, Mike Salmon up in Gwinnett, Tom Sheldon out in Northeast Bejesus, Georgia, Bo up in Gainesville, Tricia out in Houston, Karen out in Phoenix. What these people are doing in those communities, well, we more than believe it now. We know it. It's replicable. This could be happening in so many communities with everything we're describing And so we are actively seeking people in other markets. And I'll tell you, what was it, John? Somebody gave me the word. I think it might have been John Cloonan, like the marketing lingo for the avatar.
Oh,
right. So I'll give you the avatar and hope I don't, the ideal avatar, and I hope I don't run into any legal trouble, because it's not a knockout factor if you're a guy, but established female business coach. And so that's like the established female business coach. Some additional pluses on this for that are credentialed, like ICF certified, veteran. There's a lot of reasons for that, but that makes it a good fit for us. Now, what makes it a good fit for them, and at least them worth having a conversation with us, is if they have a good established business, but the greatest opportunity for improvement in their practice is the prospecting. Right, like that's the hardest, and that's true for a lot of professional services folks, CPAs, lawyers, consultants, coaches. But it is a lot for coaches, because that's a gap we know we can fill. We have very well established, proven, it always works. Methodology for filling that gap. So if there's a female business coach, veteran, ICF credentialed in, San Jose or Pittsburgh or Tampa, and it would, and she's, I'm going to say she really believes me. And if I could just get more initial beginning conversations, those initial relationships going, we probably should team up, or we'll at least have a conversation. Yeah. So my day job, and one of the things I'm working on very diligently right now, is just having those conversations. Now, I use some of our own toys and methodology to do that. We started, I just have launched a new coaching series under the High Velocity media property, High Velocity Radio media property, because that helps me serve first, serve early, serve often, give female business coaches and some males, but give them an opportunity, share their story, promote their work. But, by the time I invite them on the show, have a conversation with them to get ready for the show, and then have them on the show, I have a great relationship with them. And, it's still 8 out of 10 of them may not make any sense for us to team up directly, but how many of those people know people we ought to talk to? And then, when people are looking at what we're doing, they're able to see, okay, these guys are real. They're just good folks trying to do good work. I'm very transparent about what we're doing. Like, it's important to me that everybody does win. Yes. in the equation. So I'm spending a lot of time doing virtual interviews instead of the in-studio interviews, just to have conversations with people maybe we should team up with.
It's so exciting, because it really feels like you've got momentum going, especially if you said in the last 6 weeks or whatever, you just had more and more people get to know even what Business RadioX is about.
Yeah.
And just knowing that what the goal is the win-win.
It really is.
Right. Everyone does have a moment to where they can feel like they've been heard, seen, and understood, and no one is unhappy to have that kind of shine on them.
Right.
But also they get to have a relationship that starts in that space. And then it grows and grows and grows, and their network grows. But it all starts from such good energy and good intentions behind it.
See why I want her to run the studio?
Oh, let's talk, Stone.
All right, we'll table that. But when you're ready, yeah.
All right, we'll talk. You're hilarious. Well, see why it's so fun to work with Stone, though? Because you are very inspiring, and your brain thinks so differently from mine, and I love that it does, because I just have me, and sometimes that's not the best place to be. But listening to how you consider the different ways all across the country that people can be affected positively. I think here in Woodstock, this is our town, and you're like, the world. I'm like, wait.
Well, and candidly, if I would just focus on running this studio, and particularly if I had a coaching practice, right? Like if I was a sales and marketing coach for training and development people, because I know a few things about how to do that. And if I primarily use this studio just to grow that business, and then maybe do a little bit of Business RadioX, I'm sure I'd make a ton more money.
Oh,
but
it's not about. It's interesting too, because it isn't.
Plenty.
Oh, do you really?
Well,
That's
I married up.
Oh,
my wife had a real job. Now
she's all retired.
Yeah, she's retired. So maybe
maybe you do.
Maybe
need
I'll
to.
be coming to you for a job. But no, I mean, if that's where a person is in that stage of their life, that's what they ought to, and that's what we coach these coaches to do that we team up with is look, first and foremost, we're going to share everything we think we know about this. And the first thing we want to do is use it just like you will with your clients if you really get in the Business RadioX business. Let's just use it to grow your own business. Let's see, like coaches, what we're learning about that ecosystem, the heartbeat of that is the discovery calls. Just having genuine, open, authentic conversations with prospective clients. Because think about the level of trust one has to endear just to have an initial, conversation. It's not, hey, let's have a cup of coffee. Hey, what do you do? What do I do? Good referral for me. Yeah, no, like a real conversation.
Well, it always feels like, what do you want from me?
Exactly.
What do you need from me? And how can I write you a check of some kind? Like, that's what it always feels like when you're in those moments.
And in our thing we're using this to serve. And it's not like, our methodology is the antithesis of this. So it's not this. It's not, hey, come on my show. And okay, you've been on my show, now buy my thing. Mm-hmm. It's not that with me talking to somebody in another town and it's not that at a studio. It's not that, but it is a great way. We have all these relationship building moments in our process. You've experienced this, just reaching out and inviting someone to come in the studio. And look, in studios way beyond doing virtual, but there's value in both. Just reaching out and inviting someone to come in the studio, share their story, promote their work. How many genuine relationships and new friends, many of whom will be lifelong friends, have you made just by having the Fearless Formula show right out of here?
So true. I was just talking to Dr. Trudy Simmons, who was on the show last week, about how she was a stranger when she walked in. Nice to meet you. Shake your hand. We come to the studio. Yeah. By the time an hour has passed, I feel like I don't know. We're like, it just quickly moves our friendship very quickly to where I feel like I could call her if I needed something, and I really believe she would be there for me. It's exponentially quickly. I can't explain. It's like magical. And I know that sounds, I don't know. I don't want to talk esoterically.
And it's not and I want to be clear about this because there are people who market it this way, and I guess they're making it. It's not a parlor trick to get a sale. You got to get above all that crap and just go out there and just try to help people.
Because it's not about what you can get from them. It's really just about sharing their story and what it's like to be them for a little while, and from a place of genuine curiosity, not what you can do for me.
It's really not. And in the same breath, just think, let's say you did have something to sell for some reason. If you sold office furniture and she met the criteria for, if you called her 6 weeks from now, 6 days from now, I bet you she'd take your call.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, she would.
If you shared with her what you're up to, I bet she would listen to you about your products and services with an open mind. And if her husband's brother sold office furniture, and there's just no way she'll get divorced if she buys office furniture from you. That ain't going to happen, right?
Right.
She's still going to try to help you any way she can.
Should find someone or something.
And I got 21 years of that, 100,000, not me personally, but I just had that relationship with people, and, and I utilize it and capitalize on it judiciously. And again, in a serve first manner, but there's absolutely nothing wrong, at least in my view, to build a relationship with someone. And if you have something that you do or that you sell that might serve them, you don't have to be cagey about it because you've got a real relationship with them. Just like I have a real relationship with you, I can call you and say, "Hey, Sharon, I'm selling these new radios that just go great on motorcycles, and I thought of you first." Mm-hmm. Okay, you're going to listen to me about,
Yes, I would.
Because we've got all this history.
That's right.
Does that make sense?
It does.
But I know some people might think, or and maybe this is the way that it's like a parlor trick to just, to get the lead or what. And we're so far above all that fray with the way we do it.
Well, there's no way to, okay, how do I want to say this? I would not want someone in the studio and interview them with with the energy of now you're going to hire me to do a voiceover or now you're going to hire me to do whatever underneath it, because I don't know. I feel like I could feel that kind of disingenuousness.
Right. And you can't be, and at the same time, how appropriate, organic, authentic, and all of that is if through the process of you being part of the Business RadioX family, providing this opportunity, building the relationship with the inviting, and maybe even having a conversation to help them get ready, doing the show, if either you intentionally and or it just sort of comes out that you do voiceover work and they're getting ready to do an audio book or whatever, there's nothing wrong with it. Like it's perfectly appropriate and organic. And again, the equation is a win-win if you put yourself kind of at that next tier.
Right. If I were to say, listen, if you ever hear, I've had many authors, many voiceover artists, many actors on the show, which has been really fun because I get to kind of see what their world is like. But it is not with the idea of please hire me. It's more of, here's my side of what it is that you're doing. What is it like to be you for a while? And we get to talk about very similar themes that I don't get to talk about with a plumber or someone that is in a different kind of industry. But I'd absolutely, if it's supposed to work out, it will work out. And that is just the way I look at it. I'd never expect anything from anyone. It's just, here's what I do. If you like how I sound, great. But if you don't, I might know someone in the voiceover world who could work for you better. And it just is there's room for everyone. There's success for everyone out there. It does not have to be me controlling the whole world. I feel like things land the way they're supposed to, and they work out the way they're supposed to.
Well, 2 observations on that. It wouldn't surprise me one bit to learn that some of those folks have you top of mind. They're out there doing their thing, and somebody needs or wants, or they hear and they believe, you need someone who can do a British accent and sounds really cool. And I tell you who you ought to talk to is Sharon. I bet that happens. It wouldn't surprise me at all if that happens. But it also reminds me of another thing that a mentor of mine shared with me years and years ago. And one of the things that this firm did, so they were so far above in their positioning everybody else in the space. And it just, you didn't have to sell it. You just had to do the work and be gracious and generous in providing the counsel and the thought leadership. But what he told me, he said, Stone, serve your competition and you won't have any.
Oh.
And that has proven itself over and over and over and over again. So like, for example, anyone who is out there trying to use like toys like these that we're surrounded with right now in this platform,
like the Roadcaster,
and all the
mics,
and the computer and the microphone and the distribution pipeline of all these third-party podcasting platforms, there's a ton of people doing that kind of stuff, and they're all out there trying to help folks. These people are not threatening my lifestyle or what I'm trying to do at all. And in a lot of cases, someone will come to me and I've kind of determined a niche in doing these kinds of things at that high tier and these kinds of things over here with the community partner program. And there's this big swath in the middle of like more production services and marketing services associated with producing a podcast, distributing a podcast, leveraging the show, all that stuff. And I mean, I'm on the phone. Hey, Sharon, do you want to take a look at this? Hey, Tim, do you want to take a look at this? Logan. Anyway, for whatever that's worth, it might be worth what you paid for it, but I will repeat it. Serve your competition and you won't have any.
I love it because that is such a theme of mine, is that, like I was saying, there's room for everyone in the voiceover world. There's room for everyone in whatever their dream is. It's not, I can't own anything anyway. I can't control anything anyway.
Well, and the bad ones will wash out. The market will take care of the ones that are charlatans or don't deliver good work or whatever. But,
I would agree with that. I didn't think about that.
Anyone of substance, there's room for all of those folks. We'll never run out of people who need the help. And then it's up to us to be creative. Okay, maybe not everybody can write a $30,000 check every year to help them grow their business, but anybody can write a $2,500 check a year if it's going to, you know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
You can help them all. And somewhere in between all that, okay, then let me find somebody that can.
Who would be sort of, how can you explain Main Street Warriors for a local business right now? Like what would be the different tiers that they could be involved in?
So, and I'm going to simplify it down to just one plain tier for the Main Street Warriors. And right now there's a couple of different tiers, but if you're that, person with an idea on a cocktail napkin and you're out there networking, you're getting your thing off the ground, then there's something there for you. Or, if you got a business that's doing 150 grand a year or 50 grand a year, but a little bit of promotion and you want to be associated with giving to the community, and you want to tap into some of that. If you're a Main Street Warrior, there's some things that we can do that we're going to be doing anyway. And it's just, I don't want to pretend like I'm this great hero philanthropist, but, like right now we could have opened the show. Today's episode is brought to you in part by Marietta Marine or Up Level Design Studio. Please go check them out at bumpitybump.com. We could have made we could have put like a logo there, so when people go listen to it, they hear that and they see the line. And then Renee over at Up Level could send out a thing, hey, we just sponsored this latest episode. But as a Main Street Warrior, to me, the greatest benefit is you get to do some of the stuff that our high-end premium feed clients get to do. If you're a Main Street Warrior, and we have several chapters now because we've kind of replicated. But if you're a Cherokee chapter of Main Street Warriors, if you're a Main Street Warrior, you can legitimately, and it's truthful, you can go out into the marketplace and you're talking to somebody, instead of doing that, hey, ho, let's get a cup of coffee, here's my business card. You can have a genuine conversation with them for a moment that doesn't talk about you at all. It talks about them. Hey, sounds interesting. I don't know if you knew this or not, but I'm a sponsor of Cherokee Business Radio. And I think you'd be a good guest on the show. If you'd like to come on, I'll send you a booking link. And when they send the booking link, they are the ambassador, right? So now I know that it's Renee or David or, Andrew or whoever has sent them over here. So I know, depending on what else is going on that day, I can give them all that love, but forget about all that digital promotionally stuff. Just the fact that now you're out there in the community and we're giving you a vehicle, we're giving you a method to express what you want to express. We've put that Main Street Warrior in a position to serve first, serve early, serve often, and they get a lot of the benefits of it's just a marvelous relationship building moment. And, they can listen to it either live or on demand. They can follow back up with that person. It's just, again, it's all built on real relationship, and you're talking, actually, I think right now it's $1,250 a year. We're going to change. It may be a little bit more than that when this gets published, but it's not going to be more than $2,500 a year. So I don't even know what that is. There's just, it's, if you don't do it, it'll be because you're not buying into what we're doing. It ain't gonna be because of the money. You know what I mean? You're spending that on something stupid already. Right?
Lip gloss is what I say. My favorite thing. What I like too is Business RadioX is got this established legitimate name that really does add a little bit more credibility to what you're doing if you're just on your own.
Yeah. What part of we're a 21-year overnight success story, right?
Overnight.
No, it's taken Lee and I a long time to get it where it is, and it's not Lee and I. We're doing this on the back of these. Our studio partners are marvelous. Our guests, because of this is what it is. When you get a guest in here that has a compelling story to share, and they have substance, and 99.9% of them do, they share it with their extended network. And so, over the 21 years, we have remarkable, all the jazz, the domain authority, the brand equity, all that marketing stuff. And so it passes this, like, if you are a guest on the Business RadioX network and part of your marketing strategy this year is to go get on other shows, at the risk of sounding a little bit immodest, if you send them a link, and they may not even go to it, but if you send them a link to your Business RadioX interview, it ain't gonna hurt you. You know what I mean?
It's so true.
It will help you.
Well, I love it because it really feels like the things are growing. I mean, it's 2025 and it's January, and already there's like such momentum. It's exciting.
It is exciting. It's a lot of fun. Right now, the thing that's the biggest twinkle in my eye right now
is the boat.
Is the boat thing.
Is the boat.
It really is. But
So
it'll be something else 6 weeks from now, but it is right now.
will you talk a little bit about Wildlife Action?
Yeah. So this is the most marvelous organization. I'm on the board, and the mission is preservation and conservancy. So the people we interact with a great deal are often people that don't have that opportunity to do the hiking, the canoeing, the fishing, the camping, the hunting, the fishing, all that stuff. And so we're able to provide those opportunities for them. And I mean, like for $60 a year, your whole family can be a member.
Where is it located?
It's located on Kellogg Creek.
Okay,
and
in Woodstock.
And so it's actually technically Ackworth, but
okay.
But if you go to Bells Ferry, hang a left on Kellogg, or coming from here, hang a left on Kellogg. There's the Kellogg Day Use Area, and right before you get there, it's Wildlife Action. And since we're mentioning it, we'll put the address. 27 acres facing Kellogg Creek.
Wow.
And so right there on the lake, and it is beautiful. We have Pioneer Village, which Boy Scout troops, some group, not even when it's warm, but always when it's warm. But I mean, last weekend and this coming weekend, a group will rent Pioneer Village, and we have these Adirondack huts that they can stay in. But I mean, there'll be 30 tents there, and we do all kinds of activities. Like the week before Halloween, we had, instead of calling it Pioneer Village, we called it Haunted Village.
Oh,
and so families each took one of these like huts, and it was a trick or treat station. Earlier that day, we had pumpkin carving. All right. And then a couple of weeks later, we had youth and disabled turkey hunt. And so they're not shooting turkeys, but they're like a turkey target, right?
Gotcha.
Everybody goes home with a turkey. Every kid. So again, envision you got an 8-year-old girl sitting on her granddaddy's lap. She's been shooting a BB gun or a crossbow or a bow. And I mean, again, grinning ear to ear with granddaddy. And she can barely hold it. She's holding up the turkey. But just think of that experience. And then you got all the people surrounding out there cooking their hamburgers. And then, you got the folks who are going to do the disabled hunt out there proving to the RV ranger that they won't shoot themselves in the foot, So it's like this kind of safety orientation thing. But again, incredibly rewarding. And so we have Pioneer Village, and then we have this lodge. Oh my God, it's gorgeous. You got to come out and see the property. And it faces Kellogg Creek and the lake. We have weddings, funerals, memorial services. There's a church called Rolling Thunder that comes out. We have a chapel, an outside chapel, and sometimes they rent the lodge, and they'll come out there several Sundays over the.
I bet it's beautiful.
It's absolutely gorgeous. Great fishing. We have a whole area where you clean the deer and all, but you also clean fish. We have a whole nother education building at the top. We have a nature trail that goes through on the other side of the gravel road is 300 or 400 acres of Army Corps land that you can get a permit to archery hunt, which I do and several of my buddies do. But there's a nature trail that you can walk that when it's not hunting season. There's so much to do out there.
What do you think, if you can compare and contrast what it's like to be in that environment and be kind of connected to nature and your community in that way, and then what most people and specifically children do these days, which is very much indoors and very much online and with their phones? There has to be some kind of disconnect that they are not they don't have that experience of being so present and grounded in the world.
Well, and so many, I didn't realize it because I grew up kind of in the country, and all that. And then, and I've always liked to hunt and fish, but there's a whole group of people, a whole population that just haven't been, once they're exposed, they come back. That's the neat thing about it. Once the kids come, they want to come back and play in the creek. They want to go fishing. They want to go swimming, all that kind of stuff. I can tell you it is incredibly rewarding to help all kids enjoy it and families enjoy it. But it is particularly rewarding, like during our summer adventure camp, we have a day camp, to watch kids that just don't get out much. They're used to being on the video games and the phone and all that. And, they get out there and fish for an hour. I mean, that's all they want to do, or swim and that kind of thing. And so that's a great deal of fun for me personally. And it wasn't all a product of being part of Wildlife Action, but it is all a product of being outdoors. I find that I just thoroughly enjoy the experience itself while I'm having the experience. But I swear to you, I'm a brother, husband, father, radio host, business partner.
Your balance.
Every aspect of my life is better because, in my case, I went and sat in a tree for a couple of hours last Friday, or this Friday is the last day of hunting season. I guarantee you, I am a better person in all those roles because that is a part of my life.
So I metal detect, as you know. That's my
oh wow,
my nerdy hobby.
Sweet.
So yeah. So anyway, I love being outside for that reason. There is a balance that happens to me when I get to experience just something physical like that out in nature and breathe, clean air and dig in the dirt a little bit. And it's hours that I can do it because it's like such focused energy and I love it. But I am different when I come back inside and have to go onto my computer. My brain it just functions differently. It balances me out. And I think that's what you were talking about, being kind of more of a balanced person. And I think that there must be something that they can even detect through brain scans, what a child who doesn't really get outdoor activity and what it will be like for a child that does. There's got to, because you can feel a change in yourself. So I think even now when I think about kids going out and playing like we used to do, it seems less safe for some reason to just like go out and play in a yard and like come back in for dinner.
And maybe it is in a lot of environments, and that's nice that you can come to a safe place.
Exactly. That's what I'm thinking is you've got a very controlled environment, but you also get that same freedom.
Yeah.
Freedom feel.
And it's yet another outlet for me. There's something going on every week. We're serving, we got the polar plunge, we got the poker run, we got the disabled hunt, we got the adventure camp, we got the camping, all of that stuff going on. So for me personally, it is, and I think this too is good for the brain chemistry and all that, is to always have that thing I was telling you about earlier, something where it's not even working on somebody else's problem, but just go help somebody else and just get off of your thing for a little bit.
So I had like kind of a tough holiday season, but one of the things that's helped me so much is actually that very notion is to get out of my own head and to think about other things, someone else that needs attention. Yeah. It shifts something in myself. Helping someone else does help me too. But that's not why I'm doing it. It's just kind of to cope. But knowing that I'm helping someone else does give me a sense of self-esteem, which actually helps me in my ability to deal with something difficult.
That makes all the sense in the world. And how much fun is it when you do that and you swim at that end of the pool? You not only bump into, but you become great friends with and build terrific relationships with the likes of, Dan Thrillkill and Josie
Enciolo.
Dan and Joe.
Front Porch Advisors, yes.
Right. And Jim and John at Designer and Model Brothers and Nick Carberry and Paige Reed and you just all these, and Ashley over at LG Credit Union and Wesley. I mean, just look at Jacob Sluter. The people you're hanging out with are just good. Just hanging out with people like that. It makes your life better.
It does. And recently I had a tree fall in my backyard. I posted it on Facebook. It was so upsetting because the only thing I have in that backyard is, there's like a little field that has nothing.
Right.
And then there's like this little fire pit area. And this tree was so long and ginormous. And it just landed right in the one spot I didn't want it to, which was where everything was. Ouch. It broke everything, which it's fine. But I did post about it on Facebook, like, okay. And I cried. I was so touched at how many people offered to help fix this for me. And it was some of the people that you were just mentioning,
I'll bet.
And I don't like being on the receiving end of help. Because I like to help.
I do. Just to set the record straight. I love being on the receiving end.
Well, then you've got a good friend in me because I'll help you all day. But I never want to be the person that needs help. I'd much rather help. But oh my goodness, I was touched. I can't even tell you. And it happened right around the holidays where I was kind of struggling with some things. But anyway, that helped me to realize how many good people are out there in the world and that not only do I get to help people in that opportunity, have opportunities for that, and I get to help someone feel the way I got to feel when they help me. Oh my goodness. I just loved it. And I think the same for you. It's like if most people were out in the world experiencing what that genuine intention is for, they would do it more often because it really is something that is on a special level.
Yeah, and in their defense, I'm at a point in my life where a lot of things are comfortable, maybe too comfortable, and I understand you kind of, you got to make the mortgage and you got to get the kids to soccer practice. I realize, it's maybe comes a little easier for me right now, but man, to whatever degree you can make that an important aspect of your being, I think it'll come. I think you'll find it very rewarding.
Well, if someone wanted to find out more about Wildlife Action, how could they do that?
So I should know better about how to contact Wildlife Action. I will study up on that. Man, if you'll reach out to me, I'm not great about answering the phone. I work mostly on scheduled calls, but I'm good about seeing text and get back to you. So my direct line and my text is 770-335-2050. And my email is stone, STONE, at businessradiox.com. And it'll be up before too long because Jim and John are helping us. And Ash Davenport over at is setting up ssfreedom.org if you want to hear about that.
Oh my gosh, so exciting.
Yeah.
Well, also, and anyone who's interested in Main Street Warrior program, they can contact you for that as well.
Right. And you can go to mainstreetwarriors.org. I need to update that. I told you earlier, I can take all the help I can get. I got so many irons in the fire, I'll just tell Sharon and she'll get it figured out. But mainstreetwarriors.org, ssfreedom.org, businessradiox.com, or, shoot me an email at stone@businessradiox.com, or text me 770-335-2050. I'll interview you if that'll serve you. We'll have a beer under the elm tree.
Reformation across the street.
Exactly. and all of the above.
Well, it's so exciting to see what's happening, and I'm proud to be part of it. Of course. Is there anything else you'd like to say before we kind of close out everything?
You know what? I've talked more than enough, but I promise you, if we do have a beer, we will talk more about you than me. It's just Sharon set this up so that I did a lot of talking because she's really good at that. But I really am interested in you and what I can do to help you.
Well, that sounds perfect. That's kind of how I feel with business. With Fearless Formula 2. How can I serve you? So yeah, if anyone who would like to get in touch with any of us, please, there are lots of methods out there. Sharon Klein on Facebook. And
tell them how to get to you.
Oh yeah, well yeah. Okay, on Facebook, Instagram, SharonKlein.com, my website. But Stone, it has been a pleasure to chit chat with you. This has been sorely needed.
It has.
Yeah, I've really missed you.
Since we should have like the Stone. No, you should get top billing. The Sharon Stone chat.
The Sharon and Stone chat. Oh, how cute is that? Well, who knows what'll come in the future? Maybe I'll be owning the studio.
I hope so. I'll sell it to you for $1.
Oh, nice. Okay, you heard it here first. That's legal, I'm sure. All right, everyone. Thanks for listening again to Fearless Formula on Business Radio X. And again, this is Sharon Klein and Stone Payton, reminding you that with knowledge and understanding, we can have our own Fearless Formula. Have a great day.